The old IBM Model M. Nothing quite as iconic before or since. But if you want to relive the glory days of buckling spring switches, what do you do in 2019? Well, there's a couple of ways. You could, of course, always get an original IBM Model M on eBay, and yes, they do still exist, though of course they aren't manufactured anymore, at least not by IBM. But old ones go on sale every now and then. Some concessions generally have to be made, like cosmetic condition, missing keycaps, downright broken or damaged circuit boards, connectors not really suitable for anything one would commonly have, etc. This isn't, however, what this video is about. This video, as you might have noticed from the title, is a review of the keyboard company's classic keyboard, featuring a similar design and buckling spring switches. I'll be reviewing the board from a nostalgic viewpoint as well as from a general keyboard viewpoint, comparing it to the keyboard I personally use as my daily driver to see if modern buckling spring switch keyboards can compete. So, the keyboard arrived in a box, included in which is this letter from Unicomp. When first buying the keyboard, I wondered who exactly makes it. It's the top result on Amazon for Unicomp, but I've never heard of this so-called keyboard company, and on the Unicomp website there's no mention of it. None that I've found anyway, but it does appear to be a Unicomp keyboard, simply redistributed here in the UK by this keyboard company, which I'm totally fine with. Just that buying it was a bit of a risk since I considered that maybe this is some generic one, and to be honest, I'm not sure if there are any particular differences between this and the Unicomp version because I've never owned one. But judging by comparing the final product to the Unicomp one, there's some very obvious differences, like this black plastic underneath the casing, lack of Unicomp logo, this weird thing here. And what's weirder is that the picture on Amazon suggests it is the Unicomp keyboard with the logo and so I wonder, what did I get? Well, regardless, I'm just gonna review what I received and post a link to where I bought it. That way you'll know exactly the product I'm reviewing. So, let's get clacking, shall we? From a nostalgia perspective, aesthetically, this does not fulfill what I wanted at all. First of all, the original IBM Model M did not have a weird black part underneath, nor did it have a Windows 10 logo on the Windows key. It also had a coiled cord that was the same color as the keyboard. I mean, I guess this is the same color as this keyboard, the wrong one. Aesthetically speaking, if you want an experience truly like the IBM Model M, I would say steer clear. Other than that, well, the main attraction here really, I suppose, are the switches, an attraction on which I'm happy to report that it delivers very well on. There's not a whole lot else to say except that it feels exactly like the IBM Model M did, and I, full disclosure, do not own an IBM Model M. But I have used one in the past and can say that as far as I can tell, this is the real deal. Perhaps it's best to let the keyboard speak for itself. The acoustics really add on to that experience of playing old DOS games. Let's get it all plugged in and set up. Don't you worry, little IBM ThinkPad. It is 1998, just as it's always been. Yes, Windows 98 boot sounds. Now for the money shot. Yeah, I could have sworn there was a secret there. Oh well. Shit. Come on! Nobody plays this game for the lore. I hope. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. I'm sure it's got really interesting lore. It's just that I'm here for this. Unfortunately, because I'm running this on a ThinkPad 380 XD, which has only a Sound Blaster compatible card, from my understanding, it seems that sound effects don't play in this game, which is fine. I'd rather it be sound effects than music. This music is bang. Wow. Really need me a laser PS2 mouse for this. Trackball mice are nostalgic and all, but just you can probably hear that. Not there. Just so you don't have to suffer through your gamer girl here having a bit of a 90s level design moment, I'm gonna skip ahead. And now, how about some typing? The thing is an absolute treat. One small thing though. If you're not very familiar with DOS, beware that if you order the USB version, which I did, for better compatibility with other stuff, you will not be able to use it in DOS, at least not without some trickery. But more on that in another video. So then, what about using this keyboard as a legitimate 2019 alternative? Well, if you don't mind the lack of RGB and the outdated design in general, I would say that in terms of typing, this is very nice. I consider myself an average typer in terms of speed and accuracy. And with this keyboard, I seem to beat my record by at least 2 or 3 words every time. So yeah, I can definitely vouch for it not slowing me down or anything. Now, my usual daily driver is the Ducky 1 Rainbow Edition with Cherry Mix blue switches. A keyboard just slightly more expensive than this one. And while I don't think I would trade it for this, using this as my daily driver for coursework and talking to people typing up a 3,000 word essay, I can definitely say that the overall experience is quite nice. However, I have found myself getting tired after prolonged use, and by that I mean several hours of pretty intense bursts of typing. I've also on occasion found myself not pressing the keys down far enough to activate the button. I seem to have especially got a problem with G. After resetting the keycap, the problem seems to have stopped. Unicomp did warn in the letter that I showed earlier that some keycaps may become loose during shipping, so that's definitely something to watch out for if you order one of these. As for comparing other things like build quality, well, I would definitely say that this is not exactly blowing me away. From the cheap feeling plasticky build quality, and seriously, what the hell is this? I guess this is like the ThinkPad styled IBM Model M, the black one with the track point. Here's a picture of it. If you look at it, then look at the Unicomp model, it seems to be the cutout where the keys would go. If this were the track point model, so did I really pay £100 for a keyboard that doesn't even have its own mold? I mean, if anything, you'd think they would just make a special mold for a ThinkPad style throwback keyboard since they're in far less demand, considering the original was so much more rare and is lesser known in general. It is really disappointing, unfortunately. That said, I still really enjoyed it, and I'll certainly be keeping it for the time being.